Isabel. I'm going to be your safari guide today as you journey through the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. There are a few safety reminders before we get started. Everyone must remain seated, keeping their hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle at all times. Above your head is an animal spotting guide. It's a pretty fantastic way to help put names to faces as you journey throughout the reserve. I cannot promise we'll see every single one of them, but we generally have pretty good luck. We are getting ready to head on into the first ecosystem out here on the reserve, known as the Little Ituri Forest. Given that it is a forest, there are going to be a lot of trees. With a lot of trees come animals uniquely evolved and adapted to camouflage. Got to keep our eyes peeled, see what we can find. To the right is an okapi. It looks a little bit like a zebra because of its striped hind legs. It's actually a relative of the giraffe. The okapi have something known as a prehensile tongue. They use their flexible tongue to grab the leaves off of bushes and low-hanging branches. To the left are bongo and greater kudu. Bongo are the orange animals with the slicked back horns. Greater kudu are the light brown ones. Greater kudu get up to about 5 feet tall at the shoulder. Those are female greater kudu, I know that, because they don't have horns. And then the bongo, they use their slicked back horns that are dyed through bushes and brush. Both male and female bongo have horns. Males are darker in color. Now I mentioned forest camouflage. We've seen several examples of that already with the okapi, the bongo, and the greater kudu. All three of those animals have white stripes, and out here in the forest, white stripes help to mimic light, shining through bushes, brush, and the trees. Now the okapi, they once camouflaged so well, there was a lack of photographic evidence of them until the early 1900s. Way up to the left's the black rhino. Black rhinos are solitary. They like to hang out by themselves. Their horns are made out of something called keratin. Please stay seated, friends. That's the same material you and I's fingernails and hair are made out of. Also to the left is a black and white bird known as a saddle-billed stork. Saddle-billed storks get their name because of the yellow square that appears on their bill. The way to tell them apart is their eye color. Males have brown eyes, females have yellow eyes. As we head on out of the Little Ituri Forest, we're headed toward the next ecosystem known as the Safi River Valley. Hopefully we'll see aquatic or semi-aquatic animals. To the right are large white birds known as pink-backed pelicans. They get their name because during certain parts of the year, their back and underside of their wing develop a pink color coinciding with mating season. There's also a brief glimpse of a Nile hippo as well. The pink-backed pelicans spend the majority are one of the smaller species of pelican and one of the few that prefer quiet backwaters like this over coastal areas. More Nile hippo to the left. Oh my God. Hippos spend the majority of their time underwater. Though they can swim, they often choose to instead walk along the ground deep underneath the surface of the water, making them quite difficult to spot. Hippos sleep underwater as well. They do not have to wake up to come up for air. Their bodies do that naturally by bobbing their heads up and down. This is helped by the hippo's eyes, ears, and nose, all being on the very top of their heads. Hippos can remain completely submerged underwater for several minutes at a time before having to come up for air. My friends, please make sure you're all fully seated. That does include children in your laps as well. A couple more Nile hippos submerged underwater out by those waterfalls there. Kind of close to that back rock wall. Also to the left are Nile crocodiles. Crocodiles are opportunistic eaters. They eat just about anything that crosses their path as long as they are hungry. The crocodile's jaws are pretty strong. Their jaws are strong enough to crush the bones of their prey. They can use those jaws very gently as well to roll around the eggs of their young in their mouth, helping them to hatch easier. As we head up this hill, we're headed out of the Safi River Valley toward the next ecosystem known as the savanna. The savanna is the largest ecosystem out here on the reserve. Savannas as a whole are one of the largest in the world. on into the savanna. Out here to the right is going to be a baobab tree. Baobabs do not have leaves for about 9 months out of the year. They are able to sustain themselves during the months in which they do not have leaves by their thick trunks, which they use to store water. As we head throughout the savanna, we might see more baobab trees, as well as things like termite mounds, watering holes, mud wallows, burrows, and the physical evidence left behind by the animals that live here. This physical evidence is left behind in 3 major ways through grazers, browsers, and bulldozers. Grazers eat the grass off the ground, browsers eat the leaves off the trees, bulldozers knock down trees to consume their leaves. Not only are we going to see the physical evidence left behind by these animals, hopefully we'll see a few of these types as well. To the right are Maasai giraffes. Giraffe are browsers. They eat the leaves off the trees. They do that by using their long, prehensile tongues. Maasai giraffes get between 18 and 20 feet tall. Also to the right are Ankole cattle, the brown and white speckled animals with a large set of horns. Ankole are also known as Watusi cattle because of the Watusi tribe who first domesticated them. Though they are domesticated, they are not used for meat. They have instead been used as a wealth or a status symbol. And though their horns are quite large, they're actually fairly light. It's due to the fact that their horns are mostly hollow with a honeycombed pattern inside. The honeycombed pattern helps the Ankole to regulate their overall body temperature. Both male and female Ankole have horns. Males are larger in size. A couple more animals out here to the left. I see some Hartmann mountain zebra. Hartmann mountain zebra are the only species of zebra that possess something known as a dewlap. A dewlap is a flap of skin that hangs down from the underside of their neck and helps them to regulate their overall body temperature. A zebra's stripe pattern is entirely unique. As to say, no two zebras have the same stripe pattern. There are similarities, though, in the stripe patterns of those Hartmann mountain zebra. They have thicker stripes on their hind legs and a stripe that runs the length of their belly. Also, to the left here are some sable antelope, those dark brown animals with the curved horns. Sable are a territorial species of antelope. They use their curved horns to defend themselves against predators. If a predator were to try to jump on the sable's back, the sable could knock its head back and that predator has been deterred. To the left are termite mounds, these orange spikes coming out of the ground. Termite mounds are made out of dung, dirt, and saliva. They have incredibly complex internal structures and are utilized by many of the animals out here on the savanna as a scratching post. The reason termite mounds are utilized as a scratching post is because the dung, dirt, and saliva mixture hardens to be about as strong as concrete. You'll notice that the edges of those giraffe spots are blurred or jagged. That is a fantastic way to differentiate between species of giraffe. Maasai giraffe, like these, have blurred or jagged edges to their spots. Other species might have crisp or clean edges to theirs. Giraffe have a pretty interesting sleep pattern. They only sleep for about 30 minutes each day. They take several short naps to add up to account for that total 30 minutes. They also spend up to 20 hours each day eating. Out to the right on top of that hill are wildebeest. Wildebeest are a herd animal. They like to be found in large groups. They are a migratory species as well. They travel great distances all together out there in the wild. When they do, it's known as the Great Migration. During that Great Migration, approximately 1.5 million wildebeest travel between 500 and 1,000 miles in a loop through the savannas of Tanzania and Kenya. Wildebeest are also known as new. That's G-N-U. It's based off the noise they make. Out there to the right is an African elephant. African elephants are bulldozers. They knock down trees to consume their leaves. That is not the only way in which they can feed themselves. They can also use their trunks to grab greenery that is within reach. To the left is a mandrill, the monkey with the blue and red face. Both male and female mandrills have blue and red faces. Males are much brighter and darker than the females are. They're also a lot larger in size, 2 to 3 times bigger.
There he is.
These African elephants are found in a couple of different groupings out there in the wild. It is those groupings. They're going to tell us a lot about the elephants within them. In particular, one of those groupings is a herd. A herd is a large group of elephants made up of predominantly female and children elephants. Herds are characterized by elephants of varied sizes. Another one of those groupings is a solitary elephant, or an elephant all by itself. Solitary elephants are generally those male elephants. A male elephant is born and then raised within the herd. Once he reaches maturity, it's when he'll head out on his own. To the right is red clay. Red clay is important to those elephants. They dig their tusks in to loosen it up and then consume it. Elephants consume red clay because it has all kinds of additional nutrients in it they might not be able to get in the rest of their traditional diet. Digging into red clay is not the only way those elephants can gain additional nutrients. They can also use their tusks to puncture holes in baobab trees and consume the water stored there. Just about any animal with horns or tusks can puncture a hole in a baobab tree. It is because of the water stored in the baobab tree's trunk that the baobab tree has earned the nickname, the tree of life. Another nickname for those baobab trees is the upside down tree, due to the fact that their branches look a lot like most other trees' root systems. A couple more of those baobab trees and African elephants out here. African elephants have pretty sensitive skin. It requires them to protect it from the harsh sun. One way they protect it is by throwing dust and dirt onto their heads, shoulders, and backs. It's not the only way they can protect their sensitive skin. They can utilize something known as a mud wallow. A mud wallow is a shallow hole in the ground filled with mud, dirt, and water. Elephants roll around in it, coating their skin. They let it harden and dry. It creates a nice protective barrier, almost like a natural sunscreen. It does generally get pretty hot out here on the savanna as well, requiring those elephants to have ways to keep themselves cool. One way they keep themselves cool is by flapping their ears back and forth. Not only does that provide a gentle breeze along their sides, it helps them to regulate their overall body temperature. Flapping their ears back and forth is not the only way elephants can keep themselves cool. They can suck up water into their trunks and hose themselves down with it. To the left are greater flamingo. Greater flamingo are the largest species of flamingo as well as the lightest in color. When a flamingo is hatched, they are not hatched the pink color we know them for, but a gray. It takes about 2 years for that pink color to develop. That pink color develops through the consumption of something called beta-carotene. Beta-carotene is found in things like shrimp and algae. Flamingo do not migrate. They stay in the same place year-round. If they were to travel, it'd be to find a better water or food source. Out to the left here is an orange hole with some greenish water. This is an example of a mud wallow. Now, the African elephant is not the only species of animal that will utilize a mud wallow to protect their sensitive skin. In fact, the black rhino we saw back there in the forest used those mud wallows as well. Way out there to the right is an ostrich. It's curled up in the ground of that clearing out there. That's a female ostrich, and she's got brown feathers. Male ostrich have pitch black feathers. Out to the left are a couple of cheetah. They're tucked out in these bushes. Cheetah get up to about 60 miles an hour in as little as 3 seconds. They cannot maintain that speed for very long, only several hundred yards. Cheetahs make a couple of different noises that you're likely to recognize, or a purr or a chirp. Cheetah also have a long, flexible tail they use to balance when running at 60 miles an hour. Out to the left here is going to be a rock formation known as a kopie. Kopies are sometimes utilized by predator or prey animals to survey the savanna around them. We might see animals up there today.
The lions up there. We'll see them because the air conditioning.